You lied to a Scorpio you thought they didn't know. Think again. There's a moment silent, invisible when a Scorpio hears a lie. They don't flinch. They don't raise their voice. They don't expose you on the spot. But in that exact moment, something dies inside them, and you will never know what it was until it's far too late. Because Scorpio doesn't forgive lies, even when they smile, even when they say it's okay, even when they act like nothing ever happened. What you didn't see was that the part of them that used to trust you was already 6 feet underground, buried in their soul's cemetery. You see, with Scorpio, truth isn't optional, it's sacred. And once you betray it, you're no longer speaking to the same version of them. You're speaking to the silence, to the shutdown, to the shadow. And by the time you realize it, Scorpio has already left the room emotionally, spiritually, and sometimes even physically. You just didn't notice the door closing behind them. In today's video, we're going to open the vault, not to expose Scorpio, but to protect their essence, to explain why lies don't just hurt a Scorpio, they transform them. You'll see 12 deep, soul-cutting reasons why Scorpio never truly forgives dishonesty, even when they say nothing. And by the end of this video, you won't just understand Scorpio better. You'll understand the price of betrayal in a spiritual currency that cannot be paid with apologies. So if you've ever lied to a Scorpio, or if you are the Scorpio who's been lied to, you're exactly where you're meant to be. Stay until the end, because silence isn't peace, it's judgment. And Scorpio never forgets. Reason number 1, the lie. Stabs deeper than the truth. For most people, the truth hurts. But for a Scorpio, the lie is what kills. It's not the painful reality that wounds them. It's the moment they realize someone chose to deceive instead of trusting them with the truth. Because Scorpio was never afraid of darkness, they were born in it. They understand ugly truths better than anyone. But what they cannot accept, what they cannot swallow, is cowardice dressed in deception. Let me tell you a story. There was once a woman named Evelyn, a Scorpio born in late October. She loved fiercely like most Scorpios do. Her partner Daniel was charming, kind, but weak with the truth. He once told a small lie: "I was just working late." Evelyn didn't question it, but her body did, her energy did. Her intuition whispered, "That's not work on his collar." She stayed silent. Weeks passed. Daniel confessed eventually. He cried. He apologized. He promised it meant nothing. But by then it didn't matter. Not because of the act, but because of the lie. In that moment, Evelyn said nothing. She kissed him goodnight. And by morning, she was gone. No note, no explanation, just absence. You see, for a Scorpio, it's not about what you did, it's about why you couldn't be honest. They can handle cheating, they can handle mistakes. But a lie, that means you don't respect their soul, that you underestimated their power, that you forgot who they really are. Scorpio would have stood by you through fire if you just told them the truth, but you didn't. And now, they'll never see you the same way again. Because for Scorpio, the lie doesn't just break trust, it rewrites history. It poisons the past, it desecrates the future. They relive every moment with you now through a different lens. They question every smile, every word, every silence. That's why Scorpio doesn't forgive lies. Not because they're cold, but because truth was the only thing that kept the fire sacred. Life lesson: don't ever lie to a Scorpio thinking it'll protect them. They don't need protection from the truth, they need protection from betrayal. If you truly care for a Scorpio, give them your truth, even if it's messy. Because the pain of your truth is nothing compared to the pain of your lie. Reason number 2, they read energy, not just words. When you speak to a Scorpio, you're not just having a conversation, you're being scanned. Not by their eyes, not even by their ears, but by something deeper, a psychic radar beneath their soul. Most people listen to what's said, but Scorpio listens to what's not said. The pause, the breath that came too late, the slight flicker in your pupil, the energy drop after your smile. They can feel it, all of it. You can say, "I'm fine." But if your energy is wounded, Scorpio already knows the bleeding started hours ago. You can swear, "I didn't lie." But if your vibration is panicked and inconsistent, they've already filed the evidence in their mind. Let me share a real-world story. There was a Scorpio man named Marcus, a quiet tattoo artist from New York. He had a friend named Jason, funny, loyal, always there. Until one day, Jason came over and said, "Bro, I had nothing to do with what happened between you and your girl. I swear." Marcus didn't even respond. He just stared for a moment and nodded slowly. What Jason didn't know was this: before he even spoke, Marcus already felt something. He didn't need proof. He didn't need the text messages or the timeline. Jason's energy didn't match the words. And that's all a Scorpio needs. Because while most people are fooled by faces and phrases, Scorpio reads the undercurrent. It's not magic, it's mastery. Years of watching people reveal their true selves when they thought no one was paying attention. Years of learning to observe what others deny. So when you lie to a Scorpio, you're not hiding anything. You're just digging your own energetic grave while they quietly take notes. That's why silence doesn't mean they believe you. It just means they're watching, waiting. And once your frequency no longer resonates with truth, you're out of tune with their soul. And no apology can retune a frequency that was once pure but now distorted. Life lesson: never assume your words are enough. To Scorpio, your energy is your real voice. And if your energy lies, no sentence can save you. Want to keep a Scorpio's trust? Don't just speak truth, vibrate truth. Reason number 3. Silence is their sword. When most people are hurt, they shout. They beg for answers. They demand closure. But not Scorpio. Scorpio doesn't scream. They disappear. They don't launch wars with their voice. They win battles with their silence. Because for Scorpio, silence isn't weakness. It's a weapon. A blade forged in betrayal, sharpened by intuition, and wielded with surgical precision. You may think their silence means they're letting it go. You may believe the storm has passed because they haven't confronted you. But here's what you don't understand. The silence is the confrontation. Let me take you inside a true moment of Scorpio stillness. Jade was a Scorpio nurse, quiet, dedicated, fiercely loyal. She had a best friend named Claire. One day, Jade overheard a voice note. Claire had been mocking her, deeply, cruelly laughing with others about something Jade once confided. Claire never knew Jade heard it. Jade never mentioned it. She simply stopped responding. A week went by, then 2. Claire tried to reach out. "Hey, I miss you. What's going on?" But Scorpio doesn't explain their exit. They just leave, and their absence. It echoes louder than any accusation ever could. Claire was left drowning in confusion, but that was part of the sword. Scorpio doesn't chase closure, they become it. Their silence makes you sit with yourself. And if you lied to them, if you betrayed them, their silence forces you to feel what it's like to be cut off from their emotional oxygen. You realize it wasn't just the friendship that ended, it was your access to their soul. And Scorpio only gives that once. That's why when a Scorpio is silent after a lie, they're not ignoring you, they're erasing you. Life lesson: when a Scorpio goes silent, don't assume they're fine. Assume they've made a decision. They've chosen peace over performance, truth over tolerance, self-respect over second chances. So if you're facing a Scorpio's silence, don't wait for words. They already said everything, they just didn't say it out loud. Reason number 4, trust. Once broken is buried forever. With Scorpio, trust is sacred. It isn't given easily. It isn't handed out like candy to just anyone who smiles and says the right things. No. With Scorpio, trust is built over time. Brick by brick. Word by word. Action by action. But once it's broken, it doesn't crack. It collapses. And there's no rebuilding it. Because when a Scorpio gives you their trust, They're handing you something few ever get to hold access to: their soul, their unfiltered thoughts, their hidden fears, their deepest loyalty. And when you lie, when you betray that sacred offering, you don't just break a rule, you desecrate a temple. Let me take you to a real-world example. There was a Scorpio woman named Riley, strong and intuitive. She had a younger brother, Jake, whom she protected fiercely after their parents' divorce. They grew up like partners in a storm. One day, Jake lied to her. He told their mother something personal that Riley had shared in confidence. He didn't think it mattered. Riley didn't yell. She didn't argue. She simply looked at him and said, "I love you, but you'll never have that version of me again." That was the moment the grave was dug. Their relationship would continue, but something essential had been buried. The easy warmth, the raw vulnerability, the unconditional openness. Gone, because Scorpio doesn't rebuild trust. They don't glue back shattered glass and pretend it's new. To them, broken trust is like death, and Scorpio is the sign of death and rebirth. But make no mistake, you won't be reborn with them. They will rise, yes, but without you. And the worst part, you'll still see them, you'll still talk, but you'll feel it. That part of them that used to love you in a way you didn't deserve, it's gone, buried, unreachable, and it never comes back. Life lesson: if a Scorpio trusts you, treat it like a living, breathing soul, because that's what it is. It's not replaceable, it's not renewable, it's once in a lifetime. So before you lie, ask yourself this: is that one moment of deceit worth losing a lifetime of their loyalty? Because Scorpio doesn't just lose trust, they bury it. And when they do, you go in the grave with it. Reason number 5, they don't believe in second chances for liars. Other signs might give you a second chance. Some might offer a clean slate if you say the right words. A few will even convince themselves that people change. But Scorpio doesn't hand out forgiveness like a coupon, especially not to liars. Because for Scorpio, lying isn't just a mistake, it's a character flaw, a reflection of who you are when no one's watching. And that's what truly disturbs them. Let me paint you a picture. There was a Scorpio man named Darius. He owned a small art studio in Chicago, quiet and controlled. He once hired a friend to help run the books. One day, the numbers didn't add up. When Darius asked, the friend said, "Must be a computer glitch." But Scorpio doesn't need spreadsheets to know the truth. Darius didn't confront him right away. He watched. Then one night, he called the friend into the office, laid out the evidence, every transaction, every discrepancy, every silent betrayal. The friend broke down, apologized, swore it was temporary. "Please, I'll pay it back. Just give me one more chance." Darius didn't yell. He didn't curse. He just said, "If you could lie to me once, you were always willing to lie. And I'll never sit across from that energy again." That was it. No warning, no begging, no reconsideration. Just the end. Because Scorpio doesn't believe in replanting dead roots. Once a liar shows their face, Scorpio sees the mask that was always there, and the bond once pure is contaminated forever. Even if the liar changes later, Scorpio remembers who you were when they needed your truth the most. That's the version of you their soul can't unsee. Life lesson: if you lie to a Scorpio, don't expect to rebuild what you broke. Don't expect another chance. They may walk away quietly. They may not even call you out. But make no mistake, they closed the book, and you're no longer a chapter worth reading. So if you ever find yourself in a place where honesty is hard, tell the truth anyway, especially to a Scorpio. Because with them, there's no next time. Only one chance, one sacred shot at trust. And once it's gone, you'll realize second chances don't live in Scorpio's world. Reason number 6. Scorpio's memory is cellular. They feel lies in their bones. You can lie to their face. You can delete the messages. You can rehearse your words with flawless calm. But what you can't do, escape Scorpio's body. Because Scorpio doesn't just remember with their mind, they store betrayal in their bones. Their body reacts before their brain even catches up. Their stomach tightens when something feels off. Their skin crawls with unspoken tension. Their heart pounds with warnings no one else can hear. They'll feel the lie before the sentence ends. They'll feel the shift in vibration, in energy, in atmosphere, like a dog sensing an earthquake before it hits. But it goes deeper. Because once a lie enters their world, Scorpio's body doesn't let it go. It stores it, like a scar under the surface, undetectable to others, but always there. Let me give you an example. Savannah was a Scorpio therapist in Los Angeles. She had a patient who spoke often of loyalty, honesty, self-reflection. But every time he said those words, Savannah's body would twitch, subtle nausea burning in her chest. She didn't know why until 6 months later, when the patient confessed he'd been lying about everything, manipulating her, the process, the people in his life. Savannah wasn't surprised, because her body already knew. Her conscious mind had tried to be professional. Her training told her to stay neutral. But her Scorpio nervous system, it screamed the truth before the facts arrived. That's the thing most people underestimate about Scorpio. Their body is an antenna. It catches lies in the silence. It holds betrayal in the bloodstream. It remembers the smallest shift in your voice from 6 months ago. And that's why they can't forgive lies. Not because they're bitter, but because their body won't let them forget. Forgiveness would require erasing the cellular memory. And Scorpio doesn't erase pain. They transmute it. They become stronger from it, but they never pretend it didn't happen. Life lesson. If you've ever lied to a Scorpio and thought they didn't notice, their body did. Even if they smiled, even if they stayed, even if they kept holding your hand, somewhere inside them, their body was already walking away. And by the time you realize it, you're trying to reconnect with someone whose soul already processed your departure. So be honest, because with Scorpio, the truth keeps their body safe, and the lie, it makes every part of them recoil even years later. Reason number 7. Scorpio sees through masks, and they never unsee it. There's something chilling about the way a Scorpio looks at you when they've realized you're not who you pretend to be. It's not anger, it's not confusion, it's not even betrayal. It's worse, it's recognition. Because Scorpio doesn't just catch a lie, they see through it like fire burning through fabric, revealing what lies beneath. And once they've seen it, there's no rewind, no let's pretend that didn't happen, no way to put the mask back on. You've been exposed. Let me tell you about Amari, a Scorpio musician from Atlanta. She had a producer, slick, charming, endlessly supportive, always talked about respect and authenticity. Until one day, Amari heard a voice memo, his voice mocking her lyrics in a private group chat. It wasn't just what he said, it was who he became in that message, someone else, someone wearing a mask all along. When he showed up the next day, all smiles, all support, Amari looked at him with the calm of a woman who'd seen behind the veil. She didn't argue, she didn't cry. She just said, I saw the real you. And now that I've seen it, I can't unsee it. And that was the last time she ever worked with him. No drama, no second chance, just silence, just removal. Because with Scorpio, once the mask falls, the bond dies. Not because they're cruel, but because they were loyal to your truth until they realized it wasn't real. Scorpio bonds are based on rawness. They give you their shadows and their scars, and in return they expect something sacred, your truth. Not perfection, not performance, just honesty. So when they discover your smile was staged, your kindness was strategy, your love was manipulation, that's it. The illusion is broken, and Scorpio never reattaches to illusions. Life lesson, be who you are with a Scorpio, even if it's messy, even if it's flawed. Because the moment they catch you in character, in disguise, in strategy, in ego, they disconnect from the performance. And what's more, they never buy a ticket to your show again. With Scorpio, truth earns eternal loyalty. But the moment you play a role, the curtain falls. And so does their trust. Reason number 8. Their revenge is soul level, not petty. Most people, when betrayed, react fast. They lash out. They gossip. They block, scream, expose. But Scorpio doesn't throw tantrums. They go silent and go deep. Because for Scorpio, revenge isn't a loud act. It's a cosmic response, a soul-level recalibration. You lied to them. You betrayed their loyalty. You disrespected their truth. They don't want to get even. They want to restore spiritual balance in a way that leaves you sitting alone with your own conscience until it eats you alive. Let me share a story. There was a Scorpio man named Elias, quiet and composed, who once loved a woman with every fiber of his being. She cheated, and she lied twice. To cover it up, he found out, but he said nothing. He didn't fight, he didn't insult her, he didn't destroy her life. Instead, he simply said, "I know," and you'll know I know by the silence that follows. Months later, she began unraveling. She lost confidence. She couldn't sleep. She swore she kept hearing whispers in her dreams, his voice, her guilt, her own heart screaming for mercy. Because Scorpio doesn't need to do anything when they've been lied to, their absence is punishment, their withdrawal is judgment, their energetic cutoff. It's the severing of soul cords that once nourished your spirit. And here's the truth. No one tells you. Scorpio's revenge isn't about destroying your life. It's about watching you destroy it because of who you became without their energy. They don't curse you. They don't manipulate karma. They just stand still and let karma walk through the door on its own timing, but with Scorpio's knowing smirk. They already saw it coming. Life lesson: if you lie to a Scorpio, don't fear their anger. Fear their silence. Fear the spiritual vacuum that opens up when their energy withdraws. Because their love once protected you, their presence once covered your blind spots. But once you lose them, you face the mirror, alone. And that is the revenge. So tell the truth, not because Scorpio demands it, but because your soul will suffer when theirs no longer shields yours. Reason number 9. Scorpio doesn't confuse forgiveness with access. People often say, if you forgive me, why are you still distant? If you've moved on, why don't you let me back in? But with Scorpio, the rules are different. Scorpio can forgive you, yes, but that doesn't mean they'll ever let you near them again. Because Scorpio doesn't confuse healing with reconnection, they understand something most people don't. Forgiveness is for their peace. Access is about your character. And once you've shown who you truly are, once you've lied, betrayed, or played them, the door may be spiritually closed forever. Let me share a story. Tyrell, a Scorpio photographer from Oakland, had a friend named Mason. They were close like brothers, until Mason lied about something small, then again, and again. Eventually, Tyrell confronted him. Mason cried, "I'm so sorry, I've changed. You know I love you like family." Tyrell responded like a true Scorpio, "I believe you, but I'll never trust you again, and you don't need to be near me to be forgiven." That was the last time they spoke. Because Scorpio's forgiveness is internal, it doesn't come with parties or reunions. It doesn't mean a seat at their table again. It means I've cut the emotional rope that tied you to my pain, but I've also locked the gate to my soul permanently. And this is where people misunderstand Scorpio. They think if they're not yelling, maybe we're okay again. If they're civil, maybe I still matter. But civility is not connection. Politeness is not permission. With Scorpio, once the betrayal hits, you may still hear from them. You may even work beside them, but you'll never again feel them. Their spirit retreats. Their emotional access shuts down like a vault door. And you're left on the outside knocking on a door that no longer opens. Life lesson: when Scorpio forgives you, don't mistake it for a second chance. They're not bitter, they've just evolved. You were a lesson, a memory, a closed file. And now their peace matters more than your proximity. So if you've hurt a Scorpio and they say, it's okay, ask yourself this: did they truly let you back in, or are you just witnessing the quiet aftermath of a door that already locked behind you? Reason number 10. Scorpio's love is soul bonded, and lies break that sacred contract. When Scorpio loves you, they don't just offer you affection, they offer you entry into their soul. And that invitation doesn't come easily. They test, they observe, they wait. Because when a Scorpio falls, they don't fall halfway. They merge. It's not "I like you," it's "I feel you in my spirit." It's not "you're part of my life," it's "your pain is now part of my heartbeat." To love a Scorpio is to enter into a soul contract, unspoken, sacred, and energetically binding. And when you lie, you break that contract. Not just emotionally, not just mentally, but spiritually. Let me tell you the story of Lydia, a Scorpio yoga teacher from Santa Fe. She fell in love with a man who said all the right things. They meditated together. They shared shadow work. They even spoke about past lives. But behind the spiritual connection, he was hiding messages with someone else. When she found out, she didn't scream. She wept, not because she lost a boyfriend, but because she felt the soul bond collapse inside her chest. "I felt like my spirit rejected his frequency," she later said. "It was like the sacred thread snapped." Because with Scorpio, love is energy. It's alignment. It's the merging of lifetimes. And lies corrupt the frequency. Suddenly the music you once danced to together becomes noise. The eye contact becomes static. The intimacy becomes unsafe. Scorpio can't love you the same way after a lie because your soul no longer matches the truth their soul was anchored in. It's not punishment, it's spiritual recoil. Their soul pulls back instinctively, protectively, irrevocably. Life lesson. If you want to love a Scorpio, don't just keep your body faithful, keep your soul aligned. Because to Scorpio, love is not a game or a moment, it's a spiritual promise. And a lie, even a small one, shatters the entire temple you built together. So protect their trust like sacred ground, because once the soul bond is broken, there is no rewiring it. Only release, only silence, only distance that can never be crossed again. Reason 11. Scorpio protects their power by never forgetting the truth of who you are. Some people say, let it go, move on, forget about it. But Scorpio doesn't forget. Not because they're vengeful, not because they want to hold a grudge, but because forgetting would mean letting you wear the mask again. And Scorpio never lets a liar wear the same disguise twice. When you show them who you truly are through your dishonesty, your manipulation, your distortion of truth, Scorpio doesn't just notice, they remember with precision. It's not obsession, it's protection. Let me share a moment with you. There was a Scorpio woman named Naomi. She worked in political activism, sharp, intuitive, quiet. She once trusted a teammate who spoke of justice and honesty, until Naomi discovered this teammate had been using insider information to manipulate media narratives. He was exposed. He apologized. He cried about pressure and good intentions gone wrong. Naomi accepted the apology, but never again trusted him. She worked with him. She smiled when necessary, but she never shared another private thought, never gave him a window into her strategy, never again opened the door to her inner world. Because Scorpio doesn't forgive by forgetting. They forgive by filing the truth deep in their psyche like a sealed envelope that never needs to be opened again, because its contents are unforgettable. And here's what most people miss. Scorpio's memory is not emotional revenge, it's spiritual boundary setting. They remember your lie, so they can remember who they must be when you're in the room. They adjust their vibration. They reclaim their power. They refuse to let you get close enough to hurt them the same way twice. Because one wound was enough, and Scorpio doesn't bleed for the same blade twice. Life lesson. If a Scorpio remembers what you did, don't mistake it for resentment. It's clarity, it's self-defense, it's sovereignty. They don't need to hate you. They just need to never unsee what they've seen. So if you want to stay in a Scorpio's world, be consistently true, because the moment you reveal a false version of yourself, that version is what they archive. And Scorpio's archives are permanent. Reason number 12. When Scorpio lets you go, it's already over in their soul, and there's no returning from that. Some goodbyes are loud, some are filled with screaming, texting, pleading, some end in chaos. But not with Scorpio. Scorpio's goodbye isn't a door slammed shut. It's a soul detachment so complete you won't even hear it happen. No drama, no announcements, just distance. And the truth, by the time you realize they're gone, they've already been gone for a long time. Because when Scorpio loves, they love from the soul. And when they leave from the soul. There is no returning from that, no reset button, no remember when. Because when a Scorpio decides you no longer align with their truth, you don't just lose access to their time, you lose access to their frequency. Let me share this final story. Camden, a Scorpio healer in New Orleans, had been in a deep relationship for years, but he noticed the energy shifting. His partner began lying subtle at first, then more often. The words said one thing, the vibration said another. Camden never argued, never accused. He just began leaving from the inside out. By the time he packed his things and said goodbye, he didn't cry, he didn't rage, because he had already left emotionally months ago. His body was the last part of him to exit, and that's what makes Scorpio so final. Their departure doesn't begin with a suitcase. It begins with a soul that quietly lets go. And once they've let go, there's no spell, no apology, no memory strong enough to bring them back. Because that version of them, the one who trusted you, believed in you, loved you unconditionally, no longer exists. You weren't just removed from their life, you were released from their reality. Final life lesson: if a Scorpio has gone silent and you feel the distance in your chest, it's not in your head, it's in your soul. They've disconnected, detached, dissolved the bond, not because they're cold, but because they once loved you so deeply, they had no choice but to leave completely. So if you're ever loved by a Scorpio, cherish it like a rare sacred flame and protect it with brutal honesty. Because once they're gone, there is no second arrival. They don't return to burned bridges. They build new kingdoms where your name no longer echoes. Final reflection: the soul of Scorpio and the price of dishonesty. Now you understand. When a Scorpio stays silent, they're not confused. They're certain. When they pull back, they're not indecisive. They're done. And when they let you go, it's not temporary, it's spiritual finality. Scorpio doesn't need revenge. They don't need chaos. Because the truth, the lie was enough. Enough to open their third eye, enough to trigger their cellular memory, enough to burn the soul contract you once shared. And that's why they never truly forgive dishonesty. Not because they're harsh, but because they are guardians of sacred truth, and lies have no home in their kingdom. They may smile at you, they may wish you well, but deep down you'll know you once had access to their soul. And now you're just a memory they've already transcended. What you can take from this, whether you are the Scorpio or the one who's been loved by one, remember this: love deeply, trust fiercely, and if you ever find yourself tempted to lie to a Scorpio, pause, speak the truth, even if it's uncomfortable, because that one act of honesty could be the very thing that keeps the soul bond alive. Scorpio is not cruel, they're consequential, and they will always choose truth over illusion, power over pretense, and soul over surface. If this resonated with you, if you felt the sting of Scorpio's silence, or if you carry their depth within your own heart, you belong here. Subscribe to the Path to Buddha Wisdom, where we don't just decode the zodiac, we unlock the spiritual contracts behind every connection. And in the comments below, tell us, have you ever lied to a Scorpio or been the Scorpio who had to walk away in silence? Let's talk about it. Because sometimes The deepest truths are the ones we whisper to each other long after the words have stopped.